Daniel, and today we're going to talk about 26 reasons why Hanukkah will be a high watch date for a rapture in 2025, which really is in 2026 because it goes from spring to spring. I'm going to go rapid fire for those who don't have a lot of time and you just want to hear all the different things that point toward Hanukkah. All right, in my most recent video, I did a high production quality video that has some of the top reasons. I'm going to review them quickly here and then get into even more reasons that didn't make the cut for that video. We know that as in the days of Noah, on the 1st of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen. Another way of saying that is that the choice or the best of the nations are seen. We have marrying and given in marriage as Esther, a type and shadow of the bride of Christ, was taken before the king in the 10th month. We've got Paul's shipwreck, which I believe is a prophetic parable of the coming rapture, and it's got a sign at the end, which is 3 months after the Day of Atonement, which would be the start of the 10th month. The sign of the month would be Gemini, which is the full moon in Gemini, which happens to be in conjunction with Jupiter, whose Hebrew name is Zadok, which is a symbol of Messiah. When Yeshua was carrying his cross and the women were lamenting and wailing about all the suffering he was going through, he gave a prophecy that if they're going to wail like this during a green tree, meaning the spring, what will they do during a dry winter tree when they're saying, hiding in the mountains and in the caves and saying, fall on us and hide us. So he gave that prophecy, implying that it would be winter, a dry tree, when that happens. Hanukkah was created in the manner of tabernacles, according to 2 Maccabees, which means every prophetic verse that appears to point to tabernacles can also apply to Hanukkah. That means it's got a last great day, an Atzeret, an eighth day. And so all the verses that point to the Atzeret can also apply to Hanukkah. I've done entire videos talking about all the evidence for an Atzeret being the last day that he will raise us up. And there's, of course, a lot of verses that talk about it being on the 8th day. And, of course, there are other verses that talk about it being on the 3rd day. And there's two ways you can view the 3rd day. One is the beginning of 3,000 years, so at the start of the millennial reign. The 3rd day can also be the 3rd day of the month, which the 8th day of Hanukkah is the 3rd day of the month. The rapture could happen on the evening of the 2nd going into the 3rd. I think that midnight is the one to look for. We've got Jesus mentioning the rapture 2 times at the Feast of Dedication, which is Hanukkah. And then he quotes Psalm 82, declaring that you are gods. We will be made like him at that point in time, talking about the coming judgment. And then after he did all this, they tried to catch him, but he escaped from them. So all the typology of the Hanukkah story in John chapter 10 is pointing here. And of course, Enoch, the first who was taken and did not see death, is pronounced Hanukkah in Hebrew, or something closer to that. Basically, it's the root of Hanukkah. Now, for the bonus round. The Atzeret of Hanukkah happens to be on Orthodox Christmas, celebrated by over 250 million people, especially in Russia. Their feast will be turned into mourning, Amos 8, verses 10. So it's a fitting day for a surprise attack. Either the United States will never expect Russia to attack us on their celebration, right? They're expecting them to take a holiday, or we will attempt to attack them and kick off everything. Either way, it's a great day for a surprise attack on Orthodox Christmas. If a year is an analog to a day, and the day starts in the spring, midnight would be right around when Hanukkah is during the year. we have the foundation of the second temple being laid at the start of Hanukkah. And the third temple, what has been done, will be done again. We are that temple. He's going to start it at Hanukkah, and it's going to take 7 years in building it, which is the tribulation. Haggai chapter 2, verses 18 through 19 says, "From the 24th day of the 9th month, which is the eve of Hanukkah, from that day forward, you will be accepted." We are told to pray that our flight into the wilderness at the midpoint of the tribulation will not be in winter. So if he wants us to pray that, then presumably that's what he's going to grant, which means that the start of the tribulation would be in winter because it's 3.5 years earlier. We had the miracle of oil on Hanukkah, where the lampstand stayed lit for 8 days, even though they only had enough oil for one. Compare that to the parable of the 10 virgins who needed oil, and they were afraid that their oil would run out. The typology is perfect. 10 virgins, 10th month. And of course, the 5th day of Hanukkah is on the first day of the 10th month. It aligns with the rise of an Antichrist figure. In the book of Maccabees, we know that the second temple was desecrated, and the abomination of desolation, so to speak, was set up in the first day of Hanukkah. And then it was rededicated exactly 3 years later to the same day. The book of Zechariah, chapter 4, there's a picture of 2 olive trees feeding oil into a lampstand or a menorah. And that same 2 olive trees are the 2 witnesses mentioned in Revelation, and I believe that's the 144,000. Nevertheless, we have olive trees feeding oil into a lampstand, perfect Hanukkah typology. And Revelation starts with Yeshua walking among the candlesticks in the stars, which are the 7 churches. And when ancient Babylon fell, it was the writing on the wall, which was by the candlesticks. The Atzeret of Hanukkah happens to be exactly 70 days from the Atzeret of Tabernacles, and 40 days from the start of the flood, which is where it was raining, takes you to the 3rd day of Hanukkah. And then we have in Ezra, Israel had married all these foreign wives, contrary to the law, which you weren't allowed to marry someone who wasn't part of Israel, which anyone who converted would be part of Israel. But if their wives had not converted or not accepted Yeshua and had not entered into the covenant to keep the laws, we cannot be unequally yoked. So they had to separate from their foreign wives. At the rapture, we will be separated from our foreign wives or husbands, as the case may be. And so they will be sent away. And of course, they entered a new covenant, like we will enter a new covenant. And it was on the first day of the 10th month that they started, and they purged all the foreign wives within 3 months. We are the temple to be rededicated in a renewed covenant. And rededication requires 7 days for the ordination of priests. We are a royal priesthood. So that aligns with 7 days of Hanukkah being our dedication period, with the 8th day being the day that first official day where we can come before him and serve as priests. And that's, of course, documented in Leviticus. This can also be interpreted as 7 years where we are hidden and trained before coming back with him at the Battle of Armageddon. So this was my rapid-fire summary of a whole bunch of reasons to look at Hanukkah. I encourage you to get prepared to forgive everyone so that you can be forgiven, to reach out to everyone you can, to warn, to be watchmen, because this could be it. And this is ignoring all the evidence that's pointing to this year being the 70th Jubilee, the start of the millennial reign being exactly 3,900 years from the Abraham covenant. And there's a whole bunch of other factors pointing to this year. We are running out of feast days. So by process of elimination, Hanukkah 2025, which is January 6th, depending on your time zone, please be prepared and awake. Hope this was blessed, and I will see you next time.